Okay,
Yeah, you can't.
so that's the Peacekeepers. Would you like to go first this time?
Yeah, the Peacekeepers. So that was very similar to the Brawl Brothers. You can definitely tell the inspiration from one another, and
Yes.
well, from the Brawl Brothers. And yeah, it was pretty similar to be fair. It was definitely better pace, and like the stage layout was more obvious in the sense of you actually got to the end of a stage.
Right. Exactly.
Um,
exactly.
a few. It was good you could change your character within each section as well, or when you died.
Hmm.
The enemy animations were a bit repetitive. Like those boss battles just seemed a bit weird because you to try and God knows how you do some of them on your own, especially
Hmm.
that robot dude.
Right.
Like you'd never be able to get to the other side of him to hit him. Um, yeah, so it was good. I'd say it was better than Brawl Brothers in what it was doing, and the sprites were slightly more updated, so they looked more to scale. They weren't as squished.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, it was sort of it didn't super grab me, I guess, in the way I expected it to again. Something about it just got repetitive.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's the nature of the gameplay or just again the sign of the times. I always say this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I don't know if I would say it did hold up. Again, I feel like I'm not sure it did.
Well.
I'm on the fence. I'm undecided.
Well. Let me put my thoughts, and maybe that'll help a bit. So as far as the Peacekeepers, like you said, it was definitely similar to the first, not the first one, but Brawl Brothers, which is like the previous beat 'em adventure by Jellico. I will say that our issue with Brawl Brothers that the levels were better was definitely addressed. I'll give it that one. That I definitely
Mhm.
appreciated what it was doing much more, and that alone goes a long way for me because that's what the main thing that held Brawl Brothers back from me, and also the fact that the versus mode. We didn't get a chance to try the versus mode, but I expect it's pretty similar to how to how the first one is, and I'm just gonna leave that at
Yeah.
that. As far as the core game, there's one less character than there was in Brawl Brothers, which I guess is kind of a downgrade. That being said, the characters that we have here with the Peacekeepers, the four main characters, they do seem to have a bit more going on for them, despite the fact there being one less of them. There's more dialogue options available than previous, and Al seems to be the most talkative, but I don't know if that was just a coincidence or just because I happen to be using him in those times. But he definitely had the most to say. I'm wondering if that involves the decision making. And to be clear, there is a bit about this game that I don't think we like fully understand. Like then, the main thing that was appealing to both of us was like your choices change the story and something like that. I don't know how far in we got that, but that premise alone is intriguing, and I'm interested in seeing how far that goes or how far it goes in terms of the gameplay. Um, I'm kind of torn between whether I think this holds up or not for maybe a different reason than you, Toby. Because with Brawl Brothers, what really held it back for me was that one sewer level and the versus mode not being great. With this one, the levels are more consistent. They're a bit more fun to do, but I don't think the gameplay is quite as consistent as Brawl Brothers in terms of like what we actually played. Um, yeah, the levels were better, but the actual fighting, it was fine. I do like the aspect of the specials though. That was really cool, and you could execute them on a
Hmm.
very regular basis. And I'm also gonna give this game that it was much more forgiving than the Brawl Brothers game because we
Yes,
just
it was a lot easier.
yeah we this continues, but you had so many of them, and it didn't seem like there was a limit to the continues. Like I didn't see any option for continues on the menu. So ideally, you could just keep going. You and a friend could just keep going through this game until you ultimately finished it. And that's a plus in
Mm.
my book. That a game can be hard, easy, whatever, as long as it doesn't punish you, make you redo too much for failing. If you can just keep going,
Hmm.
then you can just take your lumps, but keep on going forward without having to like redo stuff. So that is a plus in my book. Now that I'm kind of talking through it, I will say that I think there are better beat 'em up games on Super Nintendo, but I think it does hold up. That's my opinion. But I think like it does have its flaws is here and there certainly. But from what I've played, you could definitely have a bit of fun with it. I did say that you could just keep on carrying on as long as you could because of the continue system. That being said, you and I were both getting a little fatigued after all because it was feeling a bit repetitive. So I feel like this is a game that you could probably play for a little quick session with a friend, and then either I don't know if you got your fill from it, you could probably just call it there. Or if you did want to just finish it up, you could just take a break and then finish it up at another time. And I do think it's probably looking into seeing how you get these supposed different endings because that could add a whole layer of replay value that neither of us really were too keen to. And that could probably add a lot more to it. But if we're talking about just the base game as it is, if you're just trying to do one playthrough as it is, I think it's worth one playthrough, especially since it's on the Nintendo Switch online service. And with the spend points, makes it even easier to do so. So you don't have to do it in one shot. You can just play as much as you can and then go forward. Yeah, no, unlike the Brawl Brothers, which definitely didn't hold up, I think the Peacekeepers game holds up a bit more. It's certainly not gonna it's a weird caveat for me saying it holds up because there's a lot of beat 'em up games. I'm like, oh yeah, give this a game a try. Like River City Ransom, Double Dragon. I not only said those games hold up, but I was like, yeah, if you haven't played them, absolutely give them a try. This is gonna appeal more to you if you actually are into the beat 'em up genre. If you're not, this game won't change your mind by any way because it's certainly not as good as those. But if you do like them up, I think it does hold up. So that's how I feel about it. Any last words?
Um, I think this is the first one we disagree on. That's my.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah, I would say for me it didn't. Yeah, it still
Okay.
didn't for me. That's my. I've gone off the other fence.
Uh
I've
huh.
gone over the other side.
Wow.
I can't.
That's
Yeah, I
Toby.
think
This
it's
is
just.
this is this is actually a very monumental occasion. This is the first time
Yeah,
that myself and a guest did not agree on whether the game held up or not. Well, no, that's hold on. No, I don't.
I can see. I can see that the additions though, and like what you said was
Yeah.
the age and the progression. Sorry, and like the dialogue. There's a lot of added bits that Brawl Brothers didn't have, but
Right.
I just don't know if I'd go back to that again.
Mm.
This is what I am judging it on in my head, and whereas I know other ones that I have said yes, they do hold up. I would happily play them again. Whereas these two, I don't know if I would.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
I
Wow.
think that's probably more just a personal tasting, I reckon, at this point.
Yeah. Sure. Personal taste. That's for certainly sure. Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see that perspective as well because, yeah, after playing it for a little bit, I might go back because I just would just see the ending, but it's not something I would do again, even if it did had multiple endings. If the way you had to get them was essentially redoing the game and just making it a little bit different, I don't know if I would. Like, I'd probably just do.
Mm.
I would want to see this to see the ending at some point, but as far as getting multiple endings, however many there
At the
are,
time, though,
no.
actually, that was probably pretty. That was pretty probably ahead of its time, I guess.
And
I don't
that's
know many multiple branching path stories from back then.
Oh, not at all, not at all. And that's certainly what I was giving credit to when it was coming to Brawl Brothers because, in
Mm.
the context of a Super Nintendo game, having all those accessibility options was insane. It's incredible. It's just a shame that the gameplay didn't hold up. With the Peacekeepers,
Hmm.
it doesn't quite have as many accessibility options, but the game was actually at least playable. And
Yeah.
maybe I'll give some credit to your opinion on this, Toby. If we didn't play the Brawl Brothers and Peacekeepers back to back, maybe I'd have a lower opinion
Hmm.
of the Peacekeepers because it'd probably become more bare bones. But because I am
Or
thinking
maybe
about
I'd have a higher one.
maybe who
If we
knows?
wouldn't have been like burnt out by one of them. Maybe
Yeah,
I got burnt out by one of them. Who knows? Yeah.
yeah.
Very
But
true. Very true.
it is very true. But what ifs aside, that's currently how I feel. Yeah, you don't think it holds
Hmm.
up. I kind of feel it does. And I think we'll just leave it at that. Wow, yeah, this is definitely the very first split one we have. That's interesting. Ooh,
Yeah.
the Twitter post I'm going to do about this episode is going to be interesting.
A debate.
A debate. Wow, that's cool. That's cool. Anyways,